Before you run another launch and guess what your audience wants, there's something the internet already knows: what your audience will actually respond to. Hi, I'm Jess. I spent 13 years at Microsoft, and for 8 of those, I worked at Bing, Microsoft's top engineering team, where we ran over 230,000 experiments every single month. Since then, I've helped generate over 220 million in revenue for clients and supported multiple companies that have gone on to make the Inc. 5000 list, including this company that made the top 100 fastest growing companies in America, and this one that's impacted the lives of over 200,000 menopausal women with their rocket ship growth. And the foundation of all of it: follow the signal. And it's what I'm about to show you. Here's the thing: the internet is a goldmine of signals. When you know where to look, you can start to see what your audience is likely thinking and what may resonate with them, based on what they search, what they click, and what keeps showing up as patterns. The first place to look for signals are search engines. They show you what's already working based on massive human behavior, clicks, engagement, and popularity. Second is AI search. AI reads that same signal and synthesizes it into answers based on the patterns it's reading. But here's the most powerful layer: AI research. This is where your audience creates a signal. By running rapid tests, leveraging meta ads, you'll see exactly what real people respond to. In this video, I'll teach you how to read and cultivate signal in search and AI search, and how to get the search engines to work together to maximize their results. If you sign up for Cold Trust below, I'll show you how to do AI research and even stronger signal for growing your business predictably. Sign up for Cold Trust for DIY. Launch Radar is our done-for-you AI research solution, which is also below. More on these later. All right, the second principle is to break things down into smaller components to maximize the signal. At Microsoft, when we were running 230,000 experiments a month, we broke everything down into the smallest possible components. For example, we didn't test one giant version of Bing. We looked at individual elements of one of the pages to see what would get more people searching and engaging, like this. Okay, I've done 3 searches in Bing, which all should have similar search results pages, and I want to show you how different they are. So this one's energy healer near me, veterinarian near me, and coffee near me. So all of them are local based searches, and I want to show you this one. Coffee's got Copilot search at the top of the page, whereas for veterinarian, they have a sponsored result first, and then they've got the Copilot results. And then here, it takes a while for energy healer to get down to the Copilot search results. That's one example of a large company where they can run a lot of experiments. We'll break things up into smaller pieces and test them in different environments. Another micro example is, see on Energy Healer, they've just got the normal pins, whereas if you go into veterinary, they've got the paw prints. And then for coffee, they have the coffee icons. So my guess is they have an experiment running to see, do icons make people engage more or not? I could go on and on here, but remember, we were running 230,000 experiments a month at this company. So you can see how we can get to those numbers when we're running so many different experiments with so many different search queries. Now, you aren't building a search engine. You're creating marketing campaigns, but you still need to think the same way with your campaigns and launches. Break things down into smaller components. Then look for signal on what works with your audience for that individual component, and then combine all the components into the whole page, the whole ad, the whole email campaign, and that's when you start to get breakthrough results. Here are the 6 core components that almost every marketing campaign has: empathy, headlines, hooks, opt-in or micro offer, images, and long copy. Let's start with empathy and look for some signal to decide what could work for our audience. Empathy is feeling with people. You can't skip this step. You need to know what your audience is feeling if you want to connect with them. ChatGPT is great at empathy signals because their results are heavily influenced by Reddit, which is where people go to talk about their thoughts and feelings in conversational flow. We want to get in our audience's head, so let's use this prompt. It says, act as a deep customer insight researcher and empathetic copywriter for my energy healing client, Candace Silvers. Leverage her website for information And your task is to generate 20 empathy statements that capture what the audience is actually feeling and thinking internally. And then we have some additional rules tacked on. I'm skimming for illustration purposes. You have this full prompt in your inbox and also in the Cold Trust curriculum, should you sign up. Here are a couple that I really like. I'm tired of addressing symptoms when it feels like something deeper is driving all of this. I'm scared that this is just how my body is going to feel from now on. This is raw emotional language. They're perfect empathy statements, and it's what people feel before they sign up or buy your product. So now we have a starting point for what our audience may be thinking and feeling. From there, let's move through the rest of the 5 remaining components. Next, headlines. For headlines, I prefer Meta AI. I'm looking for eye-catching headlines that I'd put on my website, in my blog posts, in the subject line of my emails. Meta is a gold mine for headline language because it sits so close to the ad ecosystem. It has a strong feel for what people click on, and this engagement-based data is gold. Here's my prompt. You're writing headlines for an energy healer. Your task is to generate 20 headlines that capture the essence of the empathy statements below, but turn them into headlines that can be used across different marketing channels and collateral. The reason I'm adding in empathy statements is because I'm leveraging one AI that's great at empathy and bringing that into another AI that's great at headlines. So I'm getting the AIs to maximize each other. I like these headlines. Tired of surface level solutions? Unlock lasting well-being. Is there more to your pain? Find relief at the root. They seem strong and related to the empathy statements, so I'll add them to my list. All right, hooks. A great hook stops people in their tracks, and a stronger hook can change your campaign results dramatically. So this is not a place to skimp. For hooks, I also like Meta AI. I'll use a similar prompt, but change it from headlines to hooks. And I also like to add this line. Provide a mix of playful and serious tones. Here's a couple hooks I like. Enough with the band-aids. Let's heal what's truly driving your discomfort. Your symptoms throwing a party? Let's politely escort them out. I also really like ChatGPT for hooks. I'll use the same prompt, but at the end say, give me 10 serious and ratchet them up. Or give me 10 playful and make them crazy funny. I'm looking for punchy. The punchier, the better. Remember, we need to stop people in their tracks. Things like, what if the thing you've been treating isn't the thing that's wrong? This isn't healing, it's a season finale cliffhanger. That's hook territory. All right, now we're looking for micro offers like an opt-in name. This is where your audience decides if they want to exchange their email or their time with you, and it's incredibly important to get right in order to build your audience so you can eventually sell to them. On Google, I'll search things like energy healing session and look at what types of resources pop out. For example, this one here, 5 things everyone needs to know about energy healing. This gives me a sense for what people click on. And sometimes Google results is all I need for ideas for the opt-in name. But when I need more signal, I'll go to ChatGPT and use a prompt like this to get more ideas based on frameworks that I know get high conversion rates. From the results, I'll select something that feels like it's easy to create, has value for my audience, and has a catchy name. Now, while these micro offers sound like they'll work, you actually still don't know. Something like this is worth putting a few bucks behind and running a signal test to see what gets your audience engaging so you don't have to guess. Sign up for Cold Trust and learn how to run your own signal test. You'll also get this video recording inside, so if you sign up now, you won't miss out on anything. All right, next up, images. Images matter because when you have the right image, it's not just an image, it's an asset for your company that you can use liberally in all your marketing, ads, landing pages, website, apps, emails, etc. Google image search is a gold mine to discover patterns. I'll do a search for energy healing and look at the results. I'm scanning for colors and repeated visual themes. These images at the top represent hundreds, thousands, sometimes even millions of clicks. The search results are telling you what gets people engaging, which is ultimately what you want with your brand images, correct? The next thing I'll do is once I see patterns like the hands holding an energy ball, I'll go to Canva and look for similar pictures since they're free to use in marketing. By the way, you can also use Canva image search results in the same way we used Google. These images at the top tell you what marketers choose for images. So it's a different lens than Google image search, but still great signal to pay attention to. And finally, there's long copy. For this, I go back to AI and I choose Claude to write samples because the language feels especially natural and strong for sales and marketing copy. I'll add in a few of the signals I've gathered along the way to help Claude give me relevant marketing copy that I believe will resonate based on my research and the signals I've collected from various sources. So across all 6 components, what I'm doing here is simple. I'm not looking for certainty, I'm looking for signal. I'm looking for suggestions from the right AI, signals from search engines to show what gets people engaging the most, and I'm feeding one AI with another. While this is a great free start, I'll be honest, this isn't enough signal to get the conversion rates and generate the revenue I know is possible. So let's take it up a notch. Instead of relying only on broad signal that's available to everyone, let's go straight to our audience and get signal directly from them. Introducing signal testing. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You can leverage meta ads for research. Don't think about meta ads as meta ads. Think about it as research in terms of you're just putting up ideas and you're seeing, does my audience click on this or this? What about this? Here's an example of testing 50 empathy statements for one of our clients, Candace Silvers, an energy healer. And the signal that we're looking for is link click-through rate. That's the signal. And in this case, we tested 50 different empathy statements and we looked at what are the top messages that got people clicking the most. I have been told my condition is irreversible, got almost 12% link click-through rate. So when I say you can know what your audience is thinking and feeling, this is what I'm talking about. You can signal test almost anything. And what gets your audience clicking is the same stuff that also gets them converting and buying. Here's an example where we tested images for our client Dia Dia, and we found that this image got 6.5% click-through rate, which was much higher than some of the other images that we tested. So we take that winning image and we use it liberally. Use that inside the app as the main image inside their app. Use it on the website. Use it in marketing materials. You start to use the winners liberally. These are not just images, these are assets for your company. Here's an example where we used it for one of our clients, Hubjoy. We did image testing, found that this image worked the best with 4.2% click-through rate. And then we used it at the top of their landing page. So you can see here, we used it in this spot. We also tested their micro offer opt-in name and came up with this one. And this page went from 8% conversion rate to 15% conversion rate just by getting signal from our audience that these 2 assets resonated. And that got an 87% uplift on the page. That's 87% increase in conversion rate. And with Candace Silvers, our Gaia-backed energy healing client, where we use signal testing to drop the cost per registration for her energy healings from $150 to just $15, a 10x improvement. You can signal test almost anything on Meta, including the same 6 core components we just went through: empathy, headlines, hooks, micro offers, images, and long copy. Breaking our campaign test down into smaller components, just like we did at Microsoft. Test many pieces, find what wins, and build with what works. If you want to learn how to do this yourself and build the skill of knowing what your audience wants before you launch, then the Cold Trust curriculum is for you. Inside, we give you the exact step-by-step system and process for running your own signal tests. This is for people who want to know how to build trust with their cold audience quickly in a DIY format. But if you're in a place where you don't want to learn all of this and you just want to know what's going to work for your audience, then this is where we step in with Launch Radar. Our team runs the full signal testing process for you. We execute all 6 core signal tests so you can see exactly what resonates before you build or launch anything. And because this is the first time we're offering this as a standalone service, we have a limited number of case study spots available. Right now, you can get Launch Radar with our case study discount for $1,495. So it really comes down to this. You don't need more ideas. You don't need more effort. You need better signal. Learn signal testing on your own or have us run all the tests for you. Either way, the goal is the same: to stop guessing and start building based on what your audience is telling you. It's simple. We'll help you do that. Pick a path below, DIY or done for you, and I'll see you on your next step.